Yo, what is good, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel, and in this video, I'm going to give you my top starts of the week for Week 11 of the 2023 Fantasy Football season. Please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. We are going to start with the quarterback position, and my first start of the week at QB is Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. He has had a really good year. He's been up and down, someone that you can put in your lineup in the right spots, and in Week 11 at home against the Chicago Bears, I think this is a great time to start him. He's taken on the Bears, who do not have a great defense. They've been better since the beginning of the year, and they've actually been pretty tough against the running game. But I think Jared Goff should be able to pick this defense apart with the weapons that he has, as well as the fact that he's playing at home. Jared Goff, historically with the Lions, plays really well at home. So I would fire up Jared Goff as a quarterback one in Week 11. And then next up, we are going to go with rookie phenom CJ Stroud, quarterback of the Houston Texans. I mean, he's just looked really great at times this year, looking like one of the future faces of the league. I'm sure the Panthers wish they would have drafted him instead of Bryce Young. We'll see what happens over time, but CJ Stroud has been lighting it up. A couple weeks ago, he put up 475 through the air. He comes back the following week, last week, and puts up 356 and a touchdown through the air, one interception. He did get a rushing touchdown as well, his second in the last 3 weeks. So Week 11, I expect him to keep things rolling. Week 9 against the Bucks, that was a pretty cake matchup. Then in Week 10 on the road at Cincinnati, he still put up big numbers. In Week 11, he's at home in a great matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. I'm expecting huge things from him, and unless you have one of those top flight options that is an auto start each and every week, you have to start CJ Stroud, especially in this matchup, and he could win you a week. So get him in your lineup if you can. My next quarterback start of the week is Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. He had a little bit of a rough patch where he wasn't performing super well for fantasy, but it looks like he's back. He has Deebo Samuel back. He has all of his weapons, and in Week 11, he's taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who give up a lot of production to quarterbacks through the air. So I would fire him up with confidence as a low quarterback one, high quarterback two. A very safe play, someone that should keep you afloat, and if the touchdowns go his way, could have a very nice week. And then finally, my last quarterback start of the week is Sam Howell of the Washington Commanders. He has been amazing for fantasy this year. The last few weeks, according to Fantasy Pros, he's had 32, 18.7, and 24.2 points. He has had a number of top-end performances this year, and in Week 11, he gets to take on the New York Giants, who are just not in a good place right now. They just got absolutely annihilated by the Cowboys passing game last week. And it's a great matchup for Sam Howell, who has been good already this year. He just finds a way to get it done. Even when the wide receivers for Washington didn't have great production last week, he still put up 312 and 3 through the air, added 17 rushing yards on the ground. So fire up Sam Howell with quarterback one confidence in Week 11 at home against the Giants. We're moving on to the running back position, and this is it. If Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys does not get it done this week, I don't know how I can ever talk about him in one of these videos again. I made him a start of the week last week against the New York Giants. The Cowboys put up 49 points on them, and it's still only turned into 5.5 half PPR points for Tony Pollard. It has been a rough season since week 1, where he put up over 20 points in half PPR. I think this is a game where you can still start him. I'm not going to say he's a must start, but you have to have really good options to put him on the bench in this matchup. The Carolina Panthers are one of the best matchups for running backs in all of football, if not the best. And he should be able to at least have a good game here, if not a great game. So I'm thinking that Tony Pollard will have a very good game for fantasy. But if he doesn't here, it's time to sound the alarms. They should already be blaring right now. But I think Week 11, we have a good Tony Pollard game. Next up at the running back position, we are going with another Washington Commander, and that is Brian Robinson. Coming off of the running back one overall on the week performance with 24.7 points in half PPR. In Week 11, he's taking on the New York Giants. I think that the Commanders should be able to win this game easily, and Brian Robinson should be able to get those rushing attempts and get that early down usage. But wait, there's more. Antonio Gibson, the running back that kind of splits the snap share with Brian Robinson, is listed as doubtful for this game. So I'm recording this Friday night at 6:46 p.m. on November 17th. So monitor the news to see what his status is for Antonio Gibson. But If he's out, this is going to be a 3-down workload for Brian Robinson, already having a good year at times when the matchup is good and when he's able to put the ball in the end zone or get that work on the ground. And then last week, we saw him have 6 targets turned into 6 for 119 and a touchdown. So maybe we'll see him get another week of passing game involvement. I'm hoping we see that because I made Sam Howell a start of the week as well as Brian Robinson. And I think both can succeed in this game, so we'll see how that pans out. But Brian Robinson is a really, really nice running back to play in Week 11 at home against the New York Football Giants. Another great start at the running back position this week is Devin Singletary. Hopefully you were able to get him off the waiver wire because he is coming off of a monster performance in Week 10 against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I expect similar results in Week 11 at home against the Arizona Cardinals. So last week with no Dameon Pierce, we saw 30 carries for Devin Singletary turned into 151 on the ground. He also had a couple targets, which only turned into 1 for 11, but 22.6 points in half PPR was the running back 3 on the week. The previous week, it didn't turn into much, but much production for fantasy. But he should have the backfield to himself in Week 11 with Dameon Pierce already ruled out as of this recording. And the Cardinals defense does not scare me at all. So I'm not saying he's going to put up 30 for 150 again, but 20 touches is very realistic for Devin Singletary in this game, and he should be able to exploit the Arizona Cardinals defense. And this game is it has a high over-under. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring for Houston and Arizona, so get your players in there that you would normally start. They will have opportunities to score in this game because we wouldn't have thought it coming into the year that the Cardinals and Texans would have such a high over-under. But this game is projected to be very high scoring. So fire up Devin Singletary as I'd say he's like a running back 2. Would not surprise me at all if he finished as a running back 1 just based on pure volume in the matchup. My final running back start of the week is going to be a duo of running backs, tandem, and that is going to be the running backs for the Miami Dolphins, Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane. So there's just a couple things to note here. So both of these guys have been great for fantasy when on the field all season long. Mostert is still getting it done. I'm hoping he stays healthy throughout the year. That's been a struggle for him, but he's been great for fantasy. One of the highest scoring running backs in all of fantasy this year. And in Week 11, the Dolphins are taking on the Las Vegas Raiders at home. So I think this bodes well for the Dolphins offense in general. And I'm thinking a lot of that production is going to come through the running game. So Raheem Mostert, to me, at the very least, is a running back 2 play, someone that you're probably starting no matter what, just because of what he's done so far this year and the matchup. And then the kind of X factor here is Devin Achane. So he's been out since Week 5 with an injury. The team is optimistic that he will return in Week 11. So I am recording this on Friday, remember, Friday night. So if Sunday rolls around and it says he's going to be super limited or, whatever the case may be, if he's going to be very involved, limited, whatever it is, proceed with caution because this is a risky play to play Achane the first week off of an injury. But just because of his upside, he's someone that you have to consider in this matchup. This team can score a ton of points. Devin Achane, not a ton of carries, has put up 49.3, 25.5, and 21 points in half PPR. The running backs 1-4-4. Those were the last 3 performances we saw for him before he got hurt. So if he is on the field and if he is going to see, if you can make a safe bet that he's going to see around 10 carries, even 10 touches, I feel like this is a guy that you have to try to put in your lineup. It's going to depend on your options, but Achane and Mostert are both good plays. If Achane is out, I think Mostert just becomes that much more safer of a play because his volume will be more secure. But Achane is the one who really can win you a week here if he's back on the field and healthy. So just stay tuned to the news, and both of these guys have opportunities to put up big numbers against the Las Vegas Raiders. We are going to move on to the wide receiver position, where my first start of the week at wide receiver is going to be Brandon Aiyuk of the San Francisco 49ers. I am pairing him with my other quarterback starter of the week, Brock Purdy, to get that 49ers stack. Obviously, you're starting McCaffrey. Deebo Samuel is someone you can start too, but I really like Brandon Aiyuk this week. I just want to highlight him in the wide receiver section here. I don't know, man. It's just a good matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last week, he only had 3 targets, which is a little concerning. Turned into 55 and a touchdown at least. But throughout the season, he has seen, 6 to 10 targets pretty much every week. And I think in this matchup, he is someone that you can definitely consider putting in your lineup and should be a safe bet to have at least a good game for fantasy. But we've seen a few times this year, there's been 3 games where he's put up over 100 yards. He had 148 one game. So he has big game ability. So now that this offense is clicking again, I think the passing game is going to do a lot of the production in this game against the Bucs, because that is where they can get beat very easily. And I think a lot of that production is going to go to Brandon Aiyuk. So fire him up as a wide receiver 1, high wide receiver 2 play in week 11 against the Bucs. All right, I have another duo for you all for my last wide receiver starts of the week. We're staying with the Houston Texans, who have been hot. So far, I've made their quarterback, their starting running back, Devin Singletary, for this game, and now their top 2 receiving options starts of the week. Tank Dell and Nico Collins are guys that I am excited to play in week 11 in that Houston Texans Arizona Cardinals matchup that is projected to be very high scoring. The Houston Texans passing game has been electric, to the point where I'm not saying at all that they can keep this up, where they're having so many different options on the air and on the ground be elite for fantasy. What I am saying, though, is Tank Dell and Nico Collins in week 11, I do expect them to eat, especially because Noah Brown, a fellow wide receiver for the Houston Texans, is out for this game. Not a household name by any means, but he had been putting up dumb numbers the last handful of weeks here. I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks where he's been on a tear, putting up well over 100 yards each game. So Nico Collins, he didn't play in week 10, but he should be healthy here, and then he is going to play. And then in week 11, and then in week 10 and week 9, we've already seen Tank Dell get hot lately with 6 for 114 and 2, turned into 26.6 points. The wide receiver 1 overall in week 9 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that I have been, kind of highlighting to attack in this video as well. And then the following week had 14 targets, turned into 6 for 56 and a touchdown, 15.9 points in half PPR. The wide receiver 11 on the week. They're taking on the Cardinals. That defense doesn't scare me, but I think there's going to be a lot of points. Both of these teams can score, and neither defense is that good. The Houston Texans, they've improved over years past, but both of these teams can give up points. And Nico Collins, he's had his ups and downs, but we've seen him put up big games, and now that he's healthy, no Noah Brown, he and Tank Dell should be the clear top 2 receiving options in this projected high-scoring game. We've seen him put up 32, 24, 11, 10. He's coming off of a 12.9 point game last week, so you have to play both of these guys with confidence. Tank Dell they both have week winning upside, so it would be hard for me to not put them in my lineup. They're both wide receiver 2 plays with week winning upside. We're going to move on to the tight end position, and I'm going to start with someone who might be a little bit obvious of a call. It's not quite making Travis Kelce a starter of the week, but it is the next step down. But I just want to highlight this guy, TJ Hockenson. He might be the tight end 1 on the week. I'm kind of looking at their rankings here. So they have Fantasy Pros as Travis Kelce number 1, which makes sense. And then TJ Hockenson is right behind that. I totally agree with that. Since Josh Dobbs has taken over for Kirk Cousins, he has been targeting TJ Hockenson nonstop. 12 and 15 targets the last couple of weeks, turned into 7 for 69 in week 9. And 11 for 134 and 1 last week. The tight end 1 on the week. I just want to highlight him here because this is a guy that should be an auto start unless you have Travis Kelce. They're taking on the Denver Broncos. Vance Joseph loves to give up points to tight ends. I expect him to be targeted heavily here. A couple factors to monitor because I am recording this Friday. He is dealing with a rib injury. If he suits up and is healthy, he should be good to go. And then Justin Jefferson, as of this recording, it hasn't been determined if he's playing or not. If he comes back, obviously more passes will probably go to Jefferson. But even if Jefferson plays, I'm still starting Hockenson no matter what. But if Jefferson doesn't return from that injury, that just secures Hockenson's volume that much more. So he hasn't had single-digit points since week 6. And even then, he had 8 and was a tight end 1. He just snuck in with a tight end 12 on the week. So 14.1, 17.8, 10.4, and 24.9 points the last few weeks here. I talk too much about him. You're starting him no matter what. But I'm a Vikings fan. Skol Vikings. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's win the Super Bowl. TJ Hockenson, put him in your lineup. And once again, I'm going to be targeting this Texans-Cardinals game. I clearly have a lot riding on this. But Trey McBride, tight end of the Arizona Cardinals, is a phenomenal start this week in that game that projects to be so high scoring. If that game hits the under by too much, I'm going to really look dumb. But I just love the weapons here. They've been putting up points for fantasy. And now it's like this perfect environment where we should be able to see a lot of fantasy goodness. I'm trying to get these guys in DraftKings lineups, in my redraft lineups where I have them, everything. Trey McBride, since taking over for Zach Ertz, He has had some very explosive games. He has been a top 3 tight end 2 of the last 3 weeks. 20.5 points in week 8, tight end 2 on the week, and 17.1 points, the tight end 3 last week. Like I said, it's a high scoring game against the Houston Texans. They can be beat. They give up points to the tight end. And Zach Ertz is still not back. So as long as he's gone, they got Kyler Murray back. Trey McBride is a borderline must-start play unless you picked them up off the waiver wire and you already had like a Travis Kelce or a TJ Hockenson on your team. I would be starting Trey McBride pretty much no matter what in week 11 against the Houston Texans. And then I am going to give you a bit more of a streaming option here, someone for the people out there that maybe have some bye weeks or didn't really get a good tight end in the draft. So we're going to talk about Tyler Conklin here of the New York Jets, former Minnesota Viking. He has been relevant in the past. It just kind of comes and goes. And he's at a state right now where he's someone that you should consider starting if you don't have a locked-in guy. The last couple weeks, 2 weeks ago, saw 6 targets turned into 6 for 66. That's the mark of the beast, but we're not going to talk about that. 9.6 points in half PPR, not terrible. And then 7 for 70 on 7 targets last week. Turned into 10.5 points, was the tight end 6 on the week in half PPR. So you just love to see those targets, 6 and 7. You will definitely take that at tight end if you're streaming the position. And the Jets are taking on the Bills, who their defense their just team in general is kind of falling apart. They've had a lot of injuries on defense. So that is a team that can be exploited. And he's been used. So if you're looking for a streaming option, Tyler Conklin is kind of like a upper tight end 2 that you can play this week. Hope he continues that solid yardage production. And if he can get in the end zone, even better. And that is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We have a lot riding on a few games, particularly the Texans and the Cardinals, but I am excited for that. And I'm excited for week 11 in general. It is time to get some wins and get into the playoffs or secure your playoff positioning, hopefully get a first round bye. And with that being said, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate it. Please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.